I'm here to investigate a DUI suspect. The license plate returned to this residence. Let's see if anybody's home. Should you even come to the door? Should you open it? I'm attorney Andrew Flushy, and this channel is about defending your rights and protecting your freedoms. Let's see what happens next. Good evening, sir. Are you Andrew? You don't have to answer police questions, ever. Yes, that's me. Will you step outside and talk with me for a moment? No, you don't have to. You can ask Officer Andy what he needs, and if he won't tell you, it likely means that you're the suspect of a crime, or at least they suspect you're involved in some kind of criminal activity. If you step outside, once you're outside the home, he can now arrest you without a warrant. Sure thing, Officer Andy. Is this your vehicle out here in the driveway? Stop! Anything you say will be used against you. You do not have to talk to law enforcement or answer any of their questions. You have the absolute right to remain silent, and you should exercise it. Yes, sir, it is, but I've been home all evening. Why are you talking? Haven't you watched any of my videos? Never talk to the police. I'm detecting an odor of alcohol coming from your breath. Have you been drinking this evening? I had 2 beers, but it was hours ago. You just walked into a trap. If Officer Andy suspects you of driving while under the influence of alcohol, he's going to need to prove that you were under the influence at the time of your earlier driving. If you're at home or in someone else's residence, it's very possible that you consumed alcohol and became impaired between the driving and between now when Officer Andy is interviewing you at the house. Most people think that they're helping themselves out by trying to distance themselves from any alcohol consumption, and so people almost always say they've only had 2 drinks, and they usually say it was a long time ago because they want the officer to think that they haven't drank in a while and they're completely sober now. That's exactly what Officer Andy needs you to say in order to try to prove a DUI against you, at least in Virginia. If instead of telling him it had been a long time since your last drink, if you had come to the door with a beer or a glass of whiskey in your hand, Officer Andy would have a hard time proving that you did not become impaired after you allegedly drove. You'd have a strong defense to your case. Or better yet, just shut up. Sir, I'm going to need you to do a few quick tests for me if you don't mind, just to make sure you're okay to drive. At this point, it should be crystal clear that you're the suspect of a DUI. Before you're arrested for DUI, you do not have to do any tests that Officer Andy may ask you to do. He may say, let's do some quick tests to see if you're okay to drive. You do not have to do those tests. They're voluntary. So the 9-step walk and turn, standing on one leg, saying the alphabet, letting him look at your eyes and follow the pen, putting a little handheld breath test in your face, all those tests are considered voluntary, which means you can refuse them. Once you're arrested for DUI, then you have to take the breath or blood test. That's the way Virginia law works. At this point, everything is voluntary. So what should you do? No, thank you. Bravo! You finally did something smart. Let's see how you should have handled this situation to begin with. Well, I guess nobody's home. You are not required to open your door for the police. If they have a warrant, they may come in even if you don't open the door for them. But unless they have a warrant or some kind of emergency exception that would entitle them to enter the home, they do not have the right to come into your home to simply to investigate a DUI or a hit and run. If you don't even answer your door, you're going to protect yourself from talking to the police when you shouldn't and giving them clues about your behavior, your demeanor, your appearance, whether or not you have the odor of alcohol coming from your breath, and things like that. Even just going to the door and talking to the police through the door could give them evidence against you, depending upon the situation and what they're investigating. And remember, you don't know what they're investigating if they just come knocking on your door. Your home is your castle. You don't need to open your castle door for the police unless you've requested their assistance. And to learn more about why you should not talk to the police at all, check out my next video. I'll see you over there.